Hey everybody! Today marks 16 years of Chris and I being married. So I'm going to tell you the most epic love story you will ever hear. Oh, not really. But I am going to tell you how Chris and I met. Let's get started. Chris and I met for the very first time when he was 17 years old and I was 15 years old. My older brother is the same age as Chris. They went to school together and they were friends. And one day Chris came over to my house with my brother Todd. I was immediately enamored by Chris. I thought he was incredibly hot and super funny and fun to be around, and I was ready. Let's do this thing. Chris, on the other hand, was not super excited about the idea of dating his friend's annoying little sister. So nothing came of it. Fast forward about a year later, I went to visit my friend at work. She worked at a little pizza place and saw him there. Here's the thing though, I didn't realize that it was the same guy I'd had a crush on a couple of years ago. I just didn't make that connection. I thought, again, yeah, buddy, let's do this thing. However, I couldn't remember his name. Like, ever. He had told me like 3 or 4 times what his name was, and my friend had told me his name repeatedly, and I still, for whatever reason, could not, for the life of me, remember what his name was. It's not even a hard name, you guys. Every time I wanted to see him, I would call up my friend and say, hey, is that hot guy working? And she's like, you mean Chris? Yeah, that guy. Is he working? And if he was working, I'd go visit my friend. A couple of years had passed since the first time we met. Chris saw me and things had developed, and he was very much interested this time. He and I would flirt a ton. Are you ready for this? At one point, he gave me his pager number. Me being super nervous because this guy is so hot and he's already graduated from high school. He's an older man, right? I was so nervous to call him, so I never ever paged him. Well, Chris, being an obnoxious, arrogant teenage boy, like all teenage boys are, thought if she's really interested, she'll page me. And I was too scared, so I never did. So we never went on a date. Well, then Chris stopped working at the pizza place and I lost contact with him. So then nothing came of it that time either. Fast forward again about a year, and my cousin moved into town. Through this weird roundabout way, somehow became friends with Chris and his group of friends. My cousin's from New Hampshire, so for him to come here and suddenly be friends with this guy that I've had a crush on for years, was crazy. Chris comes to my house again, this time with my cousin, and that's when I finally put them together and realized, oh my gosh, this is the guy I met when I was 15. This is the guy that used to work at the pizza place that I've had a crush on forever. And now he's at my house again? My cousin then told me that Chris had turned in his papers and he was about to leave on a mission for the church that we went to. And I thought, he can't leave. He can't go because we haven't gone on a date yet. And I'm supposed to go on a date with this guy. We went on a date, our first date, 10 days before he left for 2 years to go serve a mission for our church. Our first kiss was the Sunday before he left. Our second date was the Monday before he left on that Wednesday. And that was it. We spent every day together before he left. The day before he was supposed to leave, I really wanted to see him, but I had too many things on my schedule and I knew it wasn't going to happen. So I actually had him come pick me up from school at lunchtime, and I skipped my last period of the day so that I could spend a couple hours with him before he had to go. And I ended up failing that class because I missed a huge important test. The things we do for love. So then he goes into his training area and he's there for a few weeks. And after he was done with his training, then he had to fly out to his mission. This was the first picture that we had ever taken together, was at the airport right before he left. We had had a conversation, and a lot of teenage girls in my area will wait for a missionary, and they basically put their lives on hold while the missionary is gone. They don't go on any dates. They will spend time with friends and things like that, but they write to that missionary and they are exclusive with that missionary even though he's gone. And I really didn't like that idea. I was really uncomfortable with that idea of basically putting my life on pause for this guy that, I mean, we'd been dating for 10 days, okay? Not a very solid relationship yet. All I promised him was that I would not have a ring on my hand by the time he got home. And he said, that's fine. I just don't want to hear about all the guys that you're dating. So I dated a bunch and didn't tell him. Had a whole lot of fun too. During those 2 years, we wrote to each other the entire time. This was back before email was like, you guys, I'm so old. I'm dating myself so bad right now. This was back before emailing was allowed while they were gone on their missions. And so we wrote snail mail, like actual letters to each other. And we would send each other pictures. So Chris sent me some really important pictures, such as when he crashed on his bike, when they bought BB guns and turned around their name tags so that it says FBI, so that they could feel really super cool. When he brought home a pet turtle that he found. Oh, so cute. I obviously reciprocated with just as important parts of my life, such as snowboarding stunt tricks in the living room with my little brother. Look at that hair. Attending the Olympics with some friends of mine. And of course, wearing fancy dresses with Tweety Bird slippers. Because who doesn't need to see that? I mean, you're welcome. My older brother and Chris, since they're the same age, they were both out serving at the same time. So they were coming home very near the same time as well. This is a fantastic picture of me. I don't know why I'm going to show you. Here we go. This is a picture of the chain that I put up in my bedroom. This is the homecoming countdown. This is the day that Todd was coming home. And this is the day that Chris was supposed to come home. They had finally decided that the missionaries could start emailing. I was really excited. We had started emailing once a week. It was fantastic. It was April Fool's one day, and I thought that I was hilarious and wrote him what's called a Dear John, or a breakup letter. So I told him I met this guy and it's getting really serious, and he and I feel like we need to be more exclusive. Like all the details, I poured it all on. And I sent it. But then I very quickly sent a follow-up email that said, really big, haha, April Fools, just kidding. Please don't hate me. I love you. Sent that off immediately thereafter. What I didn't remember is that they were not able to access computers every single day. So by the time he got my Dear John email, it was like April 4th. He did not receive it on April 1st. He was not anticipating a prank. He thought I dumped him. And he saw that there was a second email in his inbox from me, but he was so mad at me that he didn't want to hear anything else I had to say, shut off the computer, and went back to his apartment and canceled all of his appointments for the day. Thankfully, later that night, he thought, maybe I should go back and see what she has to say. So he went back to the library, got back on the computer, opened my email, and saw that I had pranked him. I feel so bad. I don't look like I feel bad when I'm just dying laughing. To get back at me, he actually wrote to my younger sister and my mom and arranged for them to take me somewhere a week before he was supposed to be home. My mom had insisted that I go to the mall with her, which was weird. I mean, we went shopping and stuff together, but it was weird that she was so specific that on that day we had to go to the mall together. So I was like, okay, fine, we'll go to the mall. No big deal. So then that night, I go back to my house, and in my front room are a bunch of my brother's friends from high school. And so I was like, weird, I haven't seen any of them in a long time, but that's cool. So I sat down and I wanted to talk with them. And my little brother is like, come on, I gotta show you this email. And I was like, no, why do you care so much? Like these guys are here. I love these guys. Like, let me sit down and talk to them because they're great people. And my little brother was so insistent, like, you have to come look at this email right now. So I was like, okay, if that's gonna get you to calm down, well, let's go look at this email. So I go downstairs and everything just felt a little bit off. So I'm walking downstairs toward the room that had the computer in it. And as I walked down to the end of the hall, it just felt weird. So I turned and looked, and down at the other end of the hall, peeking around the corner, is Chris. And I lost it. I screamed and I ran down the hall and I literally jumped on him and tackled him. After he got back, we started dating. This was our first date after his mission. We went horseback riding and we made mini s'mores. We dated for about a month and I just felt like I wasn't 100% sure. I had been dating a couple of other guys very casually, and I just had this like thought in the back of my head, like, what if? And so I actually broke up with Chris and went on a date with each of these guys, these other two guys that I had been dating. The whole time, all I could do was think about Chris. And that was so reassuring to me to know that I was in the right place. And so I ended things with both of them, and Chris and I were broken up for a whopping 3 days before I went running back and said, please, can we be together again? I made a terrible decision. Now there's zero question, there's zero wonder of what if, and I'm so confident that he and I are supposed to be together and we're a great match. Wedding day, here we go. This is one of my favorite pictures from our wedding day. We were the ripe old ages of 19 and 21. So we had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. But no regrets, don't you worry. Also, I need to share with you, look at those flip-flops, you guys. Look at those. I wanted to be comfy. I did not want to wear high heels, so I wore platform flip-flops to my own wedding. I would make very different decisions if I were planning the wedding today. And finally, us dancing at the wedding. 16 years later, I can honestly say marrying Christopher was the best decision that I have ever made. He is an incredible husband. He's an incredible father to our children. He is such a great support for me. He is goofy and he is fun and he is genuine and he is a great man. And we are so well suited for each other. And I feel so lucky every single day that I get to spend with him. I'm so lucky that he chooses me every day and that I get to choose him every day. So, with that said, happy 16 years! Woohoo! Thank you so much for watching my 16th anniversary video. If you guys like the videos I've been making, please make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can see more content every time I send out a new video, every Wednesday and Friday. Have a fantastic day, everybody. That Otter Mama signing out.